I do have two more recordings.
I know, you're so busy.
Yeah, one of them's Christiane Noll. That's legendary.
I know, I have her album. I have her album about what's it called? It's she sings that lovely song about a dog on it. At times
Um,
like these, a girl could use a dog.
Spending Valentine's Day with her at 6 p.m. on Valentine's Day. She picked this time.
It's Valentine's Day right now for you, right?
Yeah, but I'm single. And I'm like, all right, honey, we're having Valentine's Day together then.
Happy Valentine. I want to try and find what the name of this. Here we go. Concert and cabaret CD. Where's her CD? A Broadway love story. That's it.
Yeah.
I used to listen to that in my dressing room every night when I was doing The Witches of Eastwick. It's actually a story. The album is a story. It starts and it ends and it takes you on a proper story with all Broadway musical songs. It's really sweet. Well, you tell her I loved her album, so there you go.
Yes, I will do because it's perfect for Valentine's Day. But yes, anyways,
Welcome to the Blooming League of Original Podcasts.
g'day and welcome to an extra gothic edition of Thrash and Treasure, the Torture Chamber musical comedy podcast where R2-D2 faced off with Wally and all that was left over was a bit of scrap metal. And speaking of two-faced, I'm Aaron, and I'm joined as usual by no co-hosts this week because they all prefer my evil alternate. But guess what? What? That was meant to be an evil alternate? Oh my god, that was terrible. What? Oh, it was even worse. I don't know. I'll do it in ADR. Call the children home because we've invited another of them legendary divas of Broadway onto my personal property today. And little by little, pun by pun, we're going places with this queen of NYC, bar none. And this tale of two cities begins with a West Side Story when the student princess went from Kid Victory to Goddess of Carnage due to tearing down stages from the City of Angels to 42nd Street with out-of-this-world performances that took us into the woods and left us over the new moon. But whether you're keen as Anna or kept as Kaylee or even comedic like Mac and Mabel, you're definitely gonna miss Saigon when the pirates of Penzance sell you to the witches of Eastwick in a game of chess which cements their ace partnership. But with my fair lady Lizzie boarding the boat, it ain't nothing but the bluesy ragtime on deck. Although the truth is, they're playing our song. So can you hear the sound of music live over the crashing waves whilst we wave a thrashing Aussie g'day and an arr me hearties, arr me lungs more like, as we sail far from the madding crowd on our little ship of horrors with the handsome captain, dear Evan, along with his first mate, the Merry Widow, as well as their merrier band of evil scoundrels, Alf the baker, Annie the baker's wife, Cinderella the baker's lover, plus Frank and Stein, Jekyll and Hyde, Sweeney and Todd, the ship's chaplain. So as we continue the good fight and sail into Greece for some hot summer nights, we act like the Mumbo Kings and all-night strut until the king and I find a fine and private place for our 1,776 strong pirate crew. Yet now you're in town, forget the bite to eat with Madam Secretary and grab your Christmas survival guide so you can help me welcome into the torture chamber a renowned actress, singer, and award-winning icon who tops the FBI most wanted list with the organized crimes she commits in her SUV, selling one of her sensational solo CDs from the boot of her car. That's a trunk for any Americans in the audience. So before I drive us around in circles, putting the car in carousel and run out of puns, rev your engines for the one and only Queen, Christiane Noll. Welcome to the torture chamber. Goodness. Oh my god.
Thank you. You were right. It is SVU. That's right.
It was one of them.
So it's right.
It was one of them.
That's amazing. Gosh, it's so funny because you listen to these. That was fantastic. And it makes you feel so good about all the things that you've done. I'm like, gosh, I've done a lot of stuff. That's amazing. After a while, you kind of only look at your most recent things and you sort of think of yourself in terms of just what has happened in the last few years. But then when you hear that, it's like, oh, yeah, keep going. That's cool. Oh, I can remember all this stuff. So, that's nice to thank you. Thank you so much. What a pleasure.
Or as I can show you, that's everything you've done.
Good heavens, that you could find on the intranets. Amazing.
That I could find on the internet, and I did have to use multiple sources. The ones I crossed off are the ones that made it into the
amazing.
thing,
and there's some that you didn't cross off, so that's very encouraging. Brilliant.
So I apologize for my voice today. I'm losing my voice.
You are busy and a man in demand.
I'm
so
having a stacked weekend, so thank you so much for being a part of it.
It's pretty cool. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. I'm at the end of mine. You had yours yesterday. Was yours okay? Right? I got the time frame right?
I spent mine with two names that I have to bleep out because obviously that hasn't been announced yet.
You're going to hear about it later. Yes.
So
to bleep, bleep.
very amazing names. And then I've got another two amazing names coming up again tonight and then again on Sunday morning. So somehow it's all just landed on this one weekend. So I'm so thrilled. Or I could go weeks. It's like an actor.
It works like that, right?
Yeah.
You sit there and say, I'm sitting watching paint dry. And then all of a sudden 3 or 4 things will happen at the same time.
Yep.
And you don't want to not be grateful for it because it's not like they say, the quickest way to make an actor upset is to give them a job. And but it's like, where were you the last 4 or 5 months of my life when I've been sitting watching, the paint crack off the walls? Like, honestly, but yeah, no, It always works that way. But so congratulations. I'm glad you're busy. It's good.
And I'm absolutely so thrilled to have you on here. And being
Thank you.
A Broadway leading lady, a Broadway love interest, if you will, to use the misogynistic term, on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Although this will air afterwards, so this is technically an anti-Valentine's Day episode.
It's Anti-Valentine.
I am single, so that's okay. Now, did Kay warn you?
Kay, warn me about what?
The show and how crazy it can get.
Well, I mean, as soon as she said, I have these amazing mates and you got to meet them, blah, blah, blah. And then I went on and I saw so many friends that you interviewed and I listened to a bunch of that. And then
oh, really? Oh, wow.
I listened to Kay's episode and it's wonderful. It's great. So no warning. It's just joy and a little bit of time to just be silly. So it's wonderful.
Yep. Awesome.
Low stakes here. It's good.
No, not at all until we say something wrong and get cancelled.
No.
But for the listeners at home, I deserve a bloody Oscar for my episode with Kay Tuckman because, spoiler alert, I didn't have my good microphone plugged in.
Yeah, you said. I couldn't tell.
And so I had to re-record the whole thing. No, I know. And
nobody can tell.
Christiane's face. I'm saying that correctly, yes?
Yes. Oh, you say it beautifully. Thank you.
In the introduction, I don't care. I just don't want to die. But during the episode, I do want to get it right. Christiane's face was just...
Because now I want to go back and listen to it again and be like, can I tell? Can I tell? I don't know. I would never have known. You left to like feed your dog or to like do something at one point?
That was faked. Everything I said was said originally, right? And I just sat here watching the video, saying what I said at the same time as saying it, the same way as saying it, responding to Kay and Steve exactly the same way that I had said it.
So that's looping, right?
Looping, yes. So
yeah, that's what that they do that all the time on movies and TV shows when people start mumbling and then they have to go back and
or a plane.
Yeah, they have to re-record. It's like, well, what? Okay, and you sit there and try to match.
Yeah. And you can usually tell.
Usually can.
And you can usually
Could not tell with you.
Could not tell.
Could not tell with you.
And it was every little nuance that I put into my voice originally, I had to put into it again. It was quite surreal. It really was. It was like an acid trip from the 60s. Came back to hit me today. But anyways, as I said before, it's a bit of a Broadway love story this weekend. And past guest and guest co-host Caroline Sheen was actually telling me how she would listen to your album, A Broadway Love Story, which I also listen to, every show whilst touring in Mary Poppins.
Oh, my heavens.
That's not a question. We just both wanted to gush about it because it's a gorgeous album.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really proud of that. That was a funny experience because that was back when I had a lot of hubris and way too much ego and the notion that, of course, everyone wants to hear me sing anything. And a friend of mine hooked me up with a gentleman named Bruce Kimmel, who was a record producer of the very niche market of sort of Broadway compilation recordings. And he did all of them back in the 80s and 90s. He was doing Lost in Boston, part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 18, 20, and a bunch of other things. And so she's like, oh, you should, go do something for Bruce. I'm like, I would love to. So I think I did a Sondheim at the movies where I sang a song you would just never, I think it was Sand. It's called Love is Just Sand Slipping Through Your Fingers. Stir it and it
Never heard that.
flies. Yeah, it's this wild thing. But it was an awesome song. And then I did another one called Primetime Musicals, which was music that was written for television.
Yep.
And I don't remember what I sang for that. But they were these neat little albums. And after I'd done only like 2 projects, so 2 tracks, I then was standing in the booth and I said, so if one wanted to do a solo venture, would one wait for you to approach one, or would one ask you, how does one, he's like, do we have to have a conversation? I said, yes, and so he always had this idea to create a story and then find songs written for theater, but take them out of the context of which they were written and use them for our purposes. He said, but it would require a lot of research and a lot of work, because it has to not only be the right story for the moment in the album, like, because it's an album that's supposed to be listened to beginning to end, which nobody does anymore. People like listen to a track here, a track here. You never listen to the full thing, or you listen to it out of order, So this was like a thing. But I had a lot of resources with different people that I knew to like search for music. So I did that, and I was up for it to try to find that. And we worked really hard and found things. And even like once we started recording, he like pulled another song. He's like, I think this one. And I'm super proud of it. And it was definitely worth all of the work. And I think he's pretty jazzed about it also. It was a cool thing. So that means a lot to me. Thank you.
No, full respect and love to Stephen Schwartz. Please come on my show already.
Oh, yes.
Of the 2 albums that I listened to, there wasn't Meadowlark, so I was quite thrilled.
Yeah, that singing Meadowlark every night, is that starting to go around again?
I don't know, but I just see it on everyone's album, but I've never heard it, because anyone we've had on the show, when I have listened to their albums, it's never been on there. Or if it has, I've just skipped over it, because it's like, I don't have 7.5 bloody minutes.
Everybody does it. Well, not so much anymore, but gosh, it's... Oh.
Yeah, a long song.
It is, but it's like one of those songs that I think is probably more fun for the singer than for the audience.
That's what everyone says to me, and this is why I keep skipping it, because I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for it yet. Is it from The Baker's Wife?
It's from The Baker's Wife.
When we do The Baker's Wife, that's when I will learn the song. When we do it,
there'll be a payoff.
There'll be a payoff.
Exactly.
So it won't just be this standalone long song that I'm forced to sit through.
Like, why am I sitting through 4 verses? What is going on?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone complains about it who sings it, and I'm like, well, why are you singing it then? But anyway,
because to be able to go wait for my past once again. It's like, oh, come on.
I don't know it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's awesome.
Before we move on to the medal, something else that is awesome. I believe you founded the Charlotte Black Memorial Fund at Carnegie Mellon.
I did, yeah.
So what can you tell our listeners about that?
Charlotte Black was my voice teacher at Carnegie Mellon. I was in the voice department there. She was this amazing little force of nature, and unbeknownst to me was struggling with cancer, which really hit her more when I graduate, like right after I graduated, but she died not long after I had graduated. But she was so important in guiding me as a young performer. Aaron Quill, who is someone that you may be talking to in the near future, I'm not sure.
Or maybe have last week.
She also studied with Charlotte. And what was amazing is that she didn't necessarily get assigned the superstars at that age. There were other people that would come into the program who had these freak of nature voices, because it was an opera program, or voice majors. They were developed early. So she had, I call them like diamonds in the rough. You know, she would take these young voices and she would just help them find a path of confidence and being connected to their text and all of the things. So they weren't necessarily just relying on making pretty sounds, because it's like your voice is going to open when your voice is ready to open. It's not ready yet. You're only 18, 19. It's not there, and that's okay. But you can do this. You can do that. And just building your confidence and building so that that what you're doing is healthy, and that when it does blossom, that you are just ready to ride the bucking bronco, and you have all the other wonderful colors that make listening to theater singing interesting. So when she died, I happened to be touring with Miss Saigon at the time, and I was making more money than a 22-year-old should be making at that moment in my life. It's like, wow, I can't believe, it was like, well, I need to honor her. So, and every year I created an endowed scholarship fund that in perpetuity goes to a junior, not a senior, and not someone who is like the superstar, but someone who has overcome something that is difficult, whether that is a personal issue or a developmental issue or whatever, but has come through it to find a new part of themselves. And I'm really proud of that. And it's still, as long as I'm able to, I continue to give to that. It's nice when I'll be somewhere and someone says, yeah, I got your scholarship. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Thank you.
I say it so often, legend is not a body of work, Christiane. It's an attitude. And just hearing you talk about that, I think a lot of us wish we could honor the people that pushed us or helped us in that certain way.
Yeah, I'm glad. I was thrilled that I was able to do it, and I'm proud of myself for having the impetus to do it. And every year it's like,
because there's a lot of people out there that make a lot of money, but they don't have the heart.
Yeah.
They'll preach to the rest of us, sure. But anyways, well, speaking of awkward segues, there's really no way to move on from that. Just speaking of diamonds in the rough, we'll move on to the metal now.
Okay.
So have you had much experience with metal, heavy metal, glam metal, et al., thrash metal, death metal, industrial metal?
Well, no. No. I think as close as I got would be like Heart. Yep. Because like I love the like screaming Queen thing, but I will say I was a Def Leppard fan back in the 80s. Well, Led Zeppelin, I don't consider that to be metal. Like anything, I would almost get like the thrasher stuff where they're just sort of screaming. That's usually where it turned me off because I like to sing along. Yep. And as you can hear, I work very hard to keep myself in good health when it comes to my voice. So thrasher stuff, even though it'd probably be fantastic to go into a rage room and like take a bat to everything while that's going on, it's not necessarily music that I want to sing along to because then you like hurts your feelings. But is it Devilskin or Devil's Skin?
Our long-time listeners will laugh at that because every time we have a band on that has a name that I can deliberately mispronounce, I will. So yes, let's call them Devil's Kin because that's their name. It's meant to be Devil's Skin, but we'll call them Devil's Kin.
Like, as in the things that you like pick off your... Okay.
Yeah.
Picking the things off your face, Devil's Skin.
Yeah, I think.
What a vocalist.
I know.
Good heavens.
I know.
Woman, talk about, well, I had to do some more probing. She does a cover of Barracuda. Did you know that?
Yep. Yep, I've heard it. Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, see that? And then she started, now is she the one that is also doing the...
Yeah.
Or is that someone else that's doing the screaming?
Both of them are her. Talk about a goddess of carnage.
And two-sided because it's so melodic at times and then, just screaming. Thrashing, but yeah. I did a show called Broadway Rocks, but I can't call it that. Like Total Eclipse of the Heart, and that was fun. And just like things that were written for the Broadway stage that would be a little heavier. I love that because I like screaming high and that's... So, yeah, a little bit.
Cool. Well, if you could pick your ultimate, most over-the-top rock star rider, what are you going to put on it?
My over-the-top rock star rider, something completely unnecessary, is a separate room and person for my dog to be there at all times, and then, walk them and, make sure that they're okay, even if she's barking. I now have a dog, which makes it difficult to sort of do anything. For a while, it was my child, but my child is now 16 and I never see her anymore. So I don't have to worry about a separate room for her.
Yep.
But I think a separate sort of existence so that my dog will not freak out that I have to leave at home. Yeah. So far, they're being very good. You'll hear if our neighbor pulls in, and because she will announce she is an alarm.
What's her name?
Her name is Addie.
Addie? Oh, lovely.
Yeah, she's a rescue, which
yep.
she had a lot of trauma, and we've gotten rid of a lot of it, but some of it is still there. I know that certain dog trainers are like, no, they don't remember anything. I'm like, no, they do. But she's come a long way, and when she finally is like peaceful and chill, we realize we've done a good thing. So
yes, we definitely endorse rescue dogs on Thrash and Treasure. Yeah, so we're going to talk about Devilskin now because I picked their album Be Like the River.
Now, I'm curious why you picked this album for me in particular. Like, what was it about this album? Because I will say, If You Believe in Me, loved that.
Yeah.
Start a Revolution. I love that. The harmonies, Pray, the vocals on Pray are crazy. It's this melodic thing. But then, like, you get a little bit in, and then all of a sudden, like, why? Why do we have to do that part? Like, the rest of it is so cool.
Well, that's why I picked it, though, Jekyll and Hyde.
It's the two sides. There you go.
That's the two sides of it. And I actually did go looking for if there was like an album or a band, maybe Jekyll or maybe Jekyll and Hyde or Jekyll Hyde or something. One thing I found was a song called Jekyll and Hyde by a band that the first time we did them, I said they sounded like MAGA bros or Trump supporters. So
oh god,
I thought, let's not do them this time.
Let's not.
And then I remember Devilskin. We've done 2 of their albums before. We did their first album and then we've done their third album. And we did, I think, their third album or their first album with Anastasia Barzi. Stasi Barzi.
We toured together. That was City of Angels.
Yeah, that's right.
I was her understudy. And it was crazy because then when I left Jekyll and Hyde, she took over.
With your replacement, yeah.
So we were like flip-flopped, which was fun.
That's it. The other reason why I picked it, because when we did it with her, I think we both gave the album either 5 stars or 6 stars.
Out of how many?
Out of 5.
Oh.
So I know I gave it 6 stars. I can't remember if she gave it 5 or 6, but we had David Zippel on that show as well.
David! He's awesome.
Yes, a shout out to David. But Be Like a River, we hadn't covered yet. So I thought this was a perfect opportunity. But because I'm solo this week, I thought I'm going to do a pros and cons of each album.
Okay.
And see how I went with them.
All right.
So let me just warm up my vocals with my dying coffee. Ugh, I hate cold coffee. Alrighty. So the first pro is Jenny, full stop. She is as wonderful as ever. A con is it was a bit more hard rock than I remember the last 2 albums being, which were more sort of metal.
So the difference being hard rock is less thrashery.
Yeah, it's a little bit more radio friendly, a little bit lighter.
Probably why I enjoyed it.
Possibly. Pros, catchy moments, but not cliche or not what was to be expected. But the con there is meaning not as much metal or gra 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 as what I was kind of hoping. And I'm not a metal fan at all. Like, that's not really, but I want to be challenged with these albums. The pros, there is peaks and valleys are plenty, but there was also quite a fair bit of sameness across the tracks.
I agree with you about that. Yeah, there was a sameness.
Not necessarily in the one track, but across the album, like from track to track,
It all felt like it was in the same key and had a similar feel. Yeah.
Which the other albums didn't feel like that, which is why they was scored the way they were. Con, it was slightly less impactful lyrically, but I also struggle focusing on lyrics. So that's very much a me problem.
Generally speaking,
there. Not that I can't concentrate on them or whatnot, but when I know I have to sit down and concentrate on the lyrics is when I'm listening to the music.
Well, there's that interview that makes it onto Instagram all the time that, well, at least my algorithm, of Jack Black,
Yep.
who was on the Graham Norton show at the same time as Elton John. Have you seen that?
No.
So he turns to Elton John. He says, so I'm not really a lyric thing. I'm more of a jam guy. You know, I hear a groove, I hear a thing. And he's like,
Yep.
you wrote a song. It was like, Lord, if he didn't pull out, oh, that's such and such. He's like, yeah, that's it. You know, but you know, it's like it wasn't about the lyric. It's about the other thing. So yeah, that's funny.
Which is funny because I've had so many lyricists on the show. You know, I love you guys. I absolutely love you guys. And please come back on the show again and again and again. Yeah, the pros, they're just such a solid unit, the four of them. They really are. They're so tight, so professional. And only 3 albums so far. And from New Zealand, which is not a negative at all, I promise.
No.
But the con is that they were radio friendly and non-threatening in that respect. But pros, Mountains was the best song in my opinion. And the last con was House 13 should be track 13 for crying out loud. This is a running theme with metal albums. It'll be like the second coming will be the song title, but it'll be like the 5th track. Why isn't that the second track? Oh my God, people, can't you fucking get
It's not that hard. Because I don't, like we said, I don't think people are making albums as an album.
Yeah.
That is its own thing. Creating an album, that's its own talent to be able to craft an album. And people don't do that anymore and haven't for a while.
No, unfortunately not. But I gave it 4 stars this time, but it's a low 4. So I wasn't quite as crazy as I was the first 2 albums, which I think one of them was called We Rise, which was a song on this album, which is the other thing. Well, why haven't they? Well, hang on, you're frozen up.
Yep. My husband unfortunately just called in and I'm going to get you back. There we go.
Yep, there you go. It wasn't the nicest of faces that I paused you on. It's all right. No one in the world will see it except for me. The beauty of doing this show. Yeah, so I just wasn't as crazy for it. I just think lyrically it wasn't as impactful. The first album, there was a song about her battle with endometriosis.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so it was a real personal album. The other album we did with Stasi Bazi and Zippel, there was a song about suicide. And it was such an amazing song. It was so impactful and I ended up putting that on a playlist, not because I, condone that or anything like that, but the song itself is just so good. There was nothing on this album that made me want to go, I need to have this on a playlist right now.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you. There were a couple things that I think what you hit it. This was not scary, not threatening.
Yeah.
The few things that stuck out to me were because of, the harmonies and the vocals and how good the vocals were, which is not necessarily the measure of like a real heavy metal.
No, not usually.
That's not the thing. So for that, I am appreciative that that's what you gave me, because as soon as I heard her, I was like, damn, listen to her. That was very exciting. But I can see how, if you're looking for a metal thing, that's not necessarily the jam. But yeah, it's a solid band, and that the drums and the, that was very cool. No, I mean, I'll go with your 4. I'll go with that. Yeah, I didn't really latch on to lyrics much either.
Yeah.
Again, it was more the melodies, and which again, that's not what we're in for.
No, but I can't wait for the next album. And it's weird because they are a metal band and I'm team musical. So
now, is that when you said they're from New Zealand, that's not a bad thing?
No, I didn't mean.
Yeah, is that just because you're from Australia and that's just a thing that if you're from New Zealand, you have to not like Australians, and if you're from Australia, you have to not like New Zealand, and that's just a thing?
Well, pick on each other, yes, but we do love each other like brothers and sisters. So I heard the shade. Let's just say I heard the shade as it came out, and I was trying to clarify that I wasn't saying it as shade at all. Not at all. I was just meaning that, just throwing in the fact that they are from New Zealand.
Yeah, which I think is great.
Yeah, and we've covered a couple of Kiwi bands on here.
Mm-hmm.
Kia ora to our New Zealand listeners out there. No.
G'day.
That's it. So, look, I love Jenny. I think she's one of the best vocalists in metal.
Oh, she's amazing.
I've heard
she's amazing
so far, and should totally already for the 5th or 6th time come on this show.
I hope so, because they're wonderful. They're really Solid.
Yeah.
Good unit.
That's it. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me find my segues. Unless I've thrown them across the room, which I think I have actually thrown them across the room. Nope, they'll be under here. Nope. Well, it looks like the Devilskin is appealing, so we're going to go to an ad break. From the producers of Thrash and Treasure, Around the World in 80 Plays, starring the adorable Lizzie B and Alfie Parker, and featuring the star of the show, Dolly the dog, they'll take you for a trip around the UK, exploring the rich arts and cultural history. But here is a sneak peek.
Every theatre really has ghosts, but we're in Edinburgh. Edinburgh is known for its spooky ghosts. So why don't you...
Yeah, I've done my research, and I might have had an experience of my own.
Oh.
Right, so, I am a true believer. Alfie is definitely more sceptical, but I believe in ghosts wholeheartedly. Like, I love watching paranormal programs. We watch a lot of celebrity ghost hunters. I just love it. I just kind of think, like, what's the point in not believing?
Yeah, my issue, right, I want to believe that there is something there. I think ghosts is a nice idea.
As long as they're nice ghosts.
Yeah, as long as they're not throwing things around. You know, like, no, because they grab me legs and go, bleh, all of that.
That's never happened to you, has it?
No, but you hear stories of them being like, get out of my house, and they're rattling everything and all of that stuff, and it's just a bit...
Oh, please. Right, so anyway, theatre ghosts is like a massive thing. So I'd say probably every theatre in the world has a ghost.
Yeah.
But with Edinburgh being such a historical place, the Festival Theatre actually has 3 ghosts. And I had an experience with one of them, which I'll talk about later.
We had a brief experience.
Don't spoil it, okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Right, I'm going to talk to you about these ghosts. So the first one, the most famous ghost at the Edinburgh Festival Theatre is called the Great Lafayette. Lafayette? Hamilton reference for you. That's not who it is, but he's called the Great Lafayette. One of the most celebrated illusionists of the early 20th century. Do you know what an illusionist is, Alfie?
Yes, you know, kind of like disappearing in smoke and, you know, swords. And it's like a branch of magician, right? Yeah. Thank you.
So kind of like Houdini.
Yeah, I wanted to say Houdini, but yeah.
Yeah, cool. He was the highest paid entertainer in theatre at the time.
When was this?
In the early 20th century. Okay. Do you know when that was?
Do I know when that was?
Yeah, what year are we sort of talking there? Early 20th century?
1920 something?
Earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
The 1900s.
Yeah, brilliant.
Right.
Well done. This is going quite well.
I've got my GCSEs.
And apparently he was a very lavish performer. And so that brought the audiences in, which kind of justify that he was getting paid all this money.
Right.
So, spring of 1911, he was performing at the Edinburgh Festival Theatre, and he did his finale, which was called The Lion's Bride. And what he did in The Lion's Bride is he would swap places with a lion live on stage.
I mean, you are asking for trouble.
No. See, this is the thing. It's not that went wrong.
Oh, right. Okay.
So this Lion's Bride thing happened successfully, and then out of
where I was before.
Anyways, we're back with Thrash and Treasure. I'm good Aaron, that's evil Aaron, and we're joined by Broadway's leading lady, Christiane Noll. Now, if performing arts had an Olympics for amateur artists, which events would you want to watch people compete at, and what events would you be competing at?
Quick change.
Yes, that would be a good one.
I would be competing in the quick change.
Yep.
Not just how quickly you can do it, but how calm you can stay and allowing your teammates to help change you. It's like you have to be able to change what you can change quickly on you, that what you are responsible for, but you also have to not be like, because that actually slows you down. Yep. I would say that would definitely be one I would compete in. Oh, I think there also has to be team effort, backstage traffic,
Okay, yep.
where you have to have like already pre-existing backstage traffic, and then someone has to come in who doesn't know it, and they have to survive.
Without being trampled on and rolled over with a set.
And all of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like a gauntlet. I love that. Now, what's your most quick changes in a show then?
I know I had like a 12-second change once, if I recall. And I think there was a wig in there as well. Most changes. Well, it's funny because my husband did a show called I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change.
Yep, by Joe Pietro, who we had on the show.
Yeah, yes, you did. And they used to call it I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change Your Clothes.
Yep.
I've had, well, gosh, I had a lot of, like when there's no repeats, and if it's like, oh, I'm in 12 scenes and they don't want me to, repeat anything, so I guess I have 12 outfits. That's fun. But that's when there's a big budget. It's a lot of times it's like, here's your clothes. Enjoy this outfit. Maybe you'll get like a scarf or a cardigan that we will layer, but here's your look. And that's it. Yeah.
Yep. Have you ever seen a theater ghost?
Oh, I performed up at the Cape Playhouse out on Cape Cod, and there's supposedly a ghost there of Gertrude Lawrence. Gertrude Lawrence's ghost.
Oh, from King and I?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Is supposedly roaming around in there. And you have to leave her flowers, because if you don't, doors will start locking themselves and things will start falling. And so, we made sure we brought flowers and we would warm up and talk to her. It's so funny because people are like, oh, do you believe in stuff like that? I don't know whether I believe in it or not, but it doesn't cost me anything to respect the energy that is around. So if someone says, oh, there's a ghost here, I will sit and do my makeup and have a conversation with the ghost and say, like, thank you for sharing your space. I hope I am not invading it. I will respect you if you respect me. Do I believe it? I don't know. Does it matter? Does it cost me anything? No. So I guess I'm a true agnostic in that regard, because it's like, do I know it's true? No. Do I know it's not true? No. So, but yeah, that was fun because there were a couple of lights and doors that would do that. But it's a really old theater, so who knows? But
that's it. It could have just been a breeze. Now, did you leave her a copy of the King and I DVD that you sang on?
I didn't.
Sorry, that's not shade. That's not shade. A little bit of shade.
No,
tiny bit. I have seen it though, actually.
Well, you can listen to it. The music. I mean, I'm shocked that the Rodgers and Hammerstein Foundation allowed them to do that. Yeah. At all, but the music, which is the part that I was a part of, I thought was glorious. Like the actual soundtrack was really wonderful, and I was very proud of my work on that because I was hired to Miranda Richardson. They had recorded everything, and then they realized that her singing voice was not exactly what they were hoping for. Mm-hmm. So I had to try to sort of match her ins and outs and do the Marnie Nixon, which I thought was that was a hoot.
Yeah.
So
wow.
That whole King and I thing was so funny because my father was the manager of the CBS Music Library in New York City. That was sort of his day job. He was a conductor and traveled all over the world conducting, but he also was that. So I got an audition. It's like, they need these songs. You need to record yourself doing this, which now you say this is no big deal. Mm-hmm. But this was back in the late 90s where this was a big deal. So we were friends with the people who owned Colony Records because my father did the music library at CBS Television. Yep. So anytime there was any kind of recording of anything, he was going to Colony Records and buying recordings for the library. And so they had a whole section in the store, Music -1, which now you can just go on YouTube and get the karaoke tracks to pretty much anything. But that didn't exist just generally. So they had a whole section, and they happened to have the King and I musical, Music -1. They gave us that. We went to a recording studio in CBS. It might have even even been in the Captain Kangaroo, which I don't know if you even remember. Captain Kangaroo was a TV show.
We never got it here, but I do know it, yeah.
I think we went to their studios, into their sounds thing, and they put my voice with that, put it on a cassette, and I walked it back to my agents like an hour and a half later. And they're like, how did you? And it was like with a full symphony orchestra, because that's what was on there. Like, did you hire? What is it? Now, no big deal. Everyone would be able to do that and like do it themselves on GarageBand or whatever. But then it was like a big deal. So, and that was, then they were like, okay, you got it. You know, oh, thanks. Great. But yeah, that was fun.
And now you end up on this show and I make fun of it.
No,
Sorry, I'm not making fun of it at all. I was only because of the ghost. If you hadn't mentioned the ghost, I wouldn't have remembered to ask about it. I promise you that. Because actually, I was going to ask about horror movies, but I asked about that instead.
That's okay.
Crossed it off and wrote King and I. But we are going to move it on to the musical now, speaking of horror. And this week we did pick Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes.
There was a lot of choices I could have picked, but we went with this one because I have never known it because there was never a professional production here.
You're kidding. They never brought it there?
No, even though...
That's insane.
Even though certain people are known for the part.
Anthony Warlow.
It wasn't until 2019 they did a concert version. A 25th anniversary. Anniversary of what, kids? It never premiered here.
That's a lost opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, well. I'm sorry for that.
It was meant to be like around 1998, 99, but it just, it never happened.
I mean, I guess there have been a few international productions of it, but not nearly as many as you would think for how that was quite a sensation. He wrote it, I guess the first concept recording, I believe the first one, which was Linda Eder and Com Wilkinson, was in like 90 or 89 or something, 88, something like that. And then they did, I think, a regional production in Houston in 1990. And then there was another workshop in 92. And then they did the double CD disc with Anthony Warlow. And then when they were mixing the tracks for that, they met me and were trying to figure out if they could put me on that. But I'm like, they were mastering Carol Lee's performance, which is great. But they were like, oh, but we want you, blah, blah, whatever, fine. But I was, this young thing that nobody knew at that point. Well, still nobody knows, but that's fine.
Well, they do now after your introduction. That's
right. They do. Then we did another regional production, I think in 94. And then we did a pre-Broadway in 95. And then they finally opened it on Broadway in 97 or something. So it was an ongoing development of that show. So if we're talking about the 90s, we also know that there was a couple of other huge machines that were pumping out musicals really useful, whether that is Phantom or Les Mis, and then Disney was also getting started, but they had these huge budgets and huge machines to create the buzz and the PR and the stuff. And we didn't have that. So he created these albums to create buzz. And he's really, I think, one of the first to do that. I mean, now more and more do, but like the Jeckies, now everybody has their fan clubs and that's just a thing. But the Jeckies, I feel like were one of the first. They're the reason that the show got to Broadway. Yeah. Because people would travel around the country on our pre-Broadway tour and see the show over and over and over and over again. It was such a sensation. It was insane. It was like a rock concert. And sometimes we would have to remind ourselves that, the audience was starting to respond, be like, we own this. It wasn't so much about what we were doing. And I remember once at the stage door, because we had people that would get the rush tickets in the front row. And I was at the stage door and I was like, can I say something? Don't get me wrong. We love you guys. Thank you so much. But when when you're screaming in the middle of songs, that is not you showing your appreciation. That is you calling attention to yourself, to everybody else in the theater, that you are there and you know what's going on. Your time is at the end of a song or the end of the show. Then go to town.
Yep.
Please show your appreciation. But when you're screaming, it has nothing to do with what is happening, and it's not just a real response, but one that you feel like, I have to say. It's distracting to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting as good a performance because of that. And they got so mad at me, but I stand by it.
Yeah, no, you should.
Theater, live performance is about the interaction. And I feel like because we are so caught behind these little screens, sometimes they're big screens in our living room, or they're little screens that we have in our pockets all the time, we forget that the audience is an intrinsic part of what is going on. And we can't do what we do without the energy that they bring. And when they don't do their job, we can't do ours as effectively. But when there's a lovely back and forth going on, then you get something that's magical.
Yep.
And everybody is moved by it. So, it can go both ways.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And one thing I noticed, I saw a production of this. I'm not going to say it out loud because I got invited to opening night, and the vocal acrobatics that the cast were doing were not good. They weren't hitting the notes, but the audience was screaming for them like they were, and I felt so awful for them. I really did.
That's one of the reasons that I will say I am thrilled that Cynthia Erivo is on the scene right now. I am thrilled for all of the young vocalists that are now feeling like they have to model themselves after her, and Ariana Grande too, for that matter. Both of them. Everything that they do is motivated.
Yep.
It is about intention.
Yes.
Cynthia Erivo can scream her bloody guts out, but she doesn't most of the time because it's not called for. She earns the moment for that to happen. And it's so much more effective and so exciting because she takes you on a journey. It's not just, I'm going to scream because I can, because then it's like, that's boring. That's not why.
That's metal.
Which is why yeah.
Love you, metal fans and metal bands out there.
No, I mean, obviously there's a place for it. There is obviously a place for it. And then there are lots of moments, in theater these days where that is happening more and more. But I will stake by that I am thrilled that artists like Cynthia Erivo are on the scene now to set an example of what I think we should all be striving for in the theater.
Yes, control.
Earn it. Don't give it away.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. They're losing control half the time.
If you're always at 11, then you can't go to 12.
No.
Dial everything back to a 6 or an 8. Then when you go to 9, people lose their minds,
Exactly.
More is not more.
That's it. Anyways, I'm going to quickly run through this because I got some pros and cons for Jekyll and Hyde, so I apologize in advance.
Oh, yeah. Go on. Oh, there's a lot. Go ahead.
Yes, there is a lot. Both of them I had a lot more to say that I just couldn't fit.
Did you listen to the big, huge concept recording with Anthony? That's the one you listened to?
Yes.
Or did you listen to the original Broadway recording?
And the original Broadway.
Oh, you listened to both. Okay.
And I watched the David Hasselhoff pro shot.
Oh, you did. Oh, God. Okay. Well, good for you. You did your research.
I did my research.
Yeah.
So I'm only judging the show as a package, not as a performance, a production, if you will.
Okay.
So the sets and costumes and all the staging and all that is really relative to the story being told, how it's being told. Are the lyrics good? Is the music thematic? Is it branded? So let's find out.
Yeah. Okay.
Jekyll and Hyde, the pros. It's atmospheric, but cons, it feels nautical, not Victorian. I'm listening to him like, we're not on a boat. I know this story. We're not on a boat. This is not Dracula. Because that starts off on a boat, does it not?
I believe it does.
But this doesn't.
No.
And it sounds nautical. Listen to it again.
What about it sounds nautical?
It does not sound Victorian. It sounds nautical.
Well, it doesn't sound Victorian. Yeah, no,
it's
Gothic, whatever that means.
It's Gothic, but it sounds nautical. But anyways.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was a con because it threw me off what I was expecting.
Right.
Pros, with bitch, 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 there's a sense of humor. Cons, they cut it.
Yes.
This is one of the standouts in this show, particularly because it has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
In a very dark tale.
Yes.
So it is a light moment. I don't think it should have been cut. Why did it get cut?
We did it on the pre-Broadway tour. We did it in the regional productions, and it might actually exist now.
I think it's back, yeah.
The development of the show was so bizarre in that when Robin Phillips was brought on as the director for the Broadway musical and he was fancy because of the Stratford Shakespeare and everything else. Like he was a fancy director. So they kind of trusted what he wanted to do, and he cut a lot of stuff that they thought was stupid and whatever, or he thought was stupid. After Broadway, Frank basically said to Leslie Bricusse, our lyricist, said, you put together whatever. So then Leslie put together his version of the show, which has never really existed anywhere except in his head, so that when you get the rights to rent the show so you can do it, that's the version that shows up, even though it's not what was on Broadway. It wasn't what was on the like it's this whole, it's just a weird, there's so many different versions and so many different songs. It's like, well, let's try this. Let's try that. Let's do whatever. But yeah, everybody has their opinion, and who's to say who's right and who's wrong? There has been an evolution of that show.
Well, clearly on this show, my opinion is the right one. No, I'm kidding.
Of course. Absolutely.
I'm absolutely kidding there. And please argue with me. You heard Kay argued with me about the metal album, which I lived for. I'm like, yes, please tell me I'm wrong. I'm not that sensitive that I'm going to be hurt, like being told, no. Some people are going to get offended because we're reviewing their work. So,
yeah,
we take it seriously. Another pro is that it's a very meaty role for the lead.
Yes.
But the con is that it was less so for others because the focus was on Jekyll, not on Mystery of Hyde.
Right. Yes.
Which is what the book is. The book is about this mystery.
Yeah.
So we get to meet these other characters. Here, it's about Jekyll. So
yeah, it's a huge endeavor for him, and then for the girl, for Linda, for the girl as well. So
which is Lucy, because Lisa was changed to Emma.
Lucy is the
fiance.
Yeah, and Lisa was changed to Emma. Yes. Lucy is the prostitute and Emma is Lisa. Emma is the girlfriend.
Pros that it captures the duality of the titular doctor lyrically and musically fantastically. But the cons is that it is lacking that mystery or curiosity of the source material. I mean, it's the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
Here being the focus on being a star vehicle for the leading actor, I think it took away that mystery, which is a bit of a con in that respect. The pros is that it's sweeping and lush as fuck. Goodness gracious me. But the cons is that it wasn't so scary. But the pros is that in that respect, it's easy to get lost in because it's just so atmospheric and all that. And it's also sort of got that electric rock vibe, which you're probably going to hate me for saying it's clear, I guess, reference or evolution from Phantom of the Opera, which is
certainly
gothic horror done in electronic rock.
Yeah. Well, it's that time frame that was in the late 80s and the 90s when he wrote it.
Yeah. So I gave it 4 stars as well, but this is a high 4 stars, whereas the other one was a low 4 stars because I was let down, whereas this one I was pleasantly surprised.
After I had met them, had auditioned for this, and then they started to want me to be a part of it, which was amazing. Frank Wildhorn sent me the raw recordings of the CD before he had finished mastering them. And that's when I got to hear, I had not heard of, no, that's not true. I had heard of Anthony Warlow.
Les Mis.
No,
not that. He was our Phantom.
La Boheme.
Oh, La Boheme. Okay. I don't know.
He did the Baz Luhrmann La Boheme.
Did he?
Didn't he?
No,
I feel like he did. He was the baritone in that. I believe he was.
He might have done, yeah, but
he's the only person that I have fangirled over. The only one. He came on, and the first thing, I need to know. I was like, what? Who is this? Who is this?
Yeah.
And then this is the moment but he does the whole thing without breathing at the end, and then crescendos, and then it puts the growl on it. And the end, I was like, what the? Being Edward. and this sound, I'm like, oh my God, who is this guy? And was just captivated by, he could do no wrong. And he came to the opening night on the tour. I actually did Take Me As I Am or something where we Music Minus One it. They put me on that track. So they took Carol Lee off so that I would have a recording of me singing with him. I'm not exactly sure why, but we did that. So I didn't know he was at the opening night on Broadway and said, oh yeah, no, he's there. He's leaving. I'm like, he's leaving. Sprinted toward the exit of where we were. I'm like, hi, I've sung with you on, well, you weren't there, but then hi, like I was a mess. I was absolutely a mess. And it was the stupidest thing ever. Flash forward when he's doing Annie.
Yep. On Broadway.
Yeah. And I was in Chaplin, I think, or maybe it was, I had just done Ragtime. So I had a couple back-to-backs there for a couple of years, which was nice. And we were at some award ceremony and sitting next to each other at a banquet or a dinner or something. And I was like, so I have to remind, and we got a big laugh about it. And but he's just a darling human being. And God, he's just so good. He's so good. And he can sing anything. I mean, I'm a voice teacher too, and I'm constantly trying to inspire people. Good technique is good technique. You can learn how to sing anything, but it's all style. And you have to understand the style.
Yep.
And gosh, he does. And it's, he's awesome. I love him a lot.
I saw him in Chicago last year and My Fair Lady in concert years and years ago. Yeah, so just in terms of this, I actually also watched Rob Evan, is that his name, in the part?
Oh, yeah, he's wonderful.
He was great.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
He was great.
We're still friends. We spent a great part of the aughts doing, you should reach out to him. He sang with Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He was the tenor when we would do symphony concerts. Broadway Rocks was a symphony show.
Yep.
And so I sang with him. Yeah, he's wonderful and really understood the idea of it, because it's going and being a rock star, but not being a rock star. It's kind of what Jekyll is. And this was all done. I mean, Linda Eder was a Star Search winner. Which is pre-American Idol, pre-The Voice, pre all of that.
Yep.
So this show also has an element of that influence. The idea of standing down stage center with the spotlights on you and just going, and throwing it out. And belting your guts out. And that's a lot of why people were excited by it. I don't think they were excited by the music. Like you said, you get lost in it. I don't think anyone ever came to our show for story development or character development. Although I have since watched a lot of YouTube footage of Bob Cuccioli. Good heavens. Gosh, he was good. Gosh, he was, committed, throwing himself around. We did it on and off for 4 years. So, after a while, I would not roll my eyes. That's not true. But you do anything for 4 years, they're like, oh, he's doing this now. Oh, there's that. But he was tremendous, absolutely tremendous. And I understand why people appreciated what he did, because it was quite spectacular.
Yeah. Would love to have Hasselhoff on this show.
Yeah, he got it filmed and that was great. And they had asked me to do it, but Linda wasn't going to do it and Bob wasn't going to do it. I'm like, I'm not coming back just to film it. These aren't my people. That's great. But it turned into a whole thing. They had all kinds of different rock stars and not rock stars went through there. And Lord, it got a 5-year run, which by any measure that's a good thing. So amazing.
So, but anyways, it looks like this is the moment for an ad break. We'll be back after this. G'day listeners, Aaron here. While we haven't got any news at the moment, well, we actually do have news. We've all got news that we can't actually announce. I thought I would take this opportunity to tell you about our mate David Thaxton's brand new single with his band Divisions called Nerves. You can find it on all streaming services or pick up a copy of the single. It's a hot summery jam that I absolutely love. It's already on my playlist. So here is Nerves by Divisions.
Underneath the brittle sky, watching hope fade till the morning light. I'm free to choose another life, but another day mounts into night. Someone told me there's something more than this. So I'm here pushing back the weight
Yeah, here we go. We're back with Thrash and Treasure. I'm Aaron. That's no one. And on this Galentine's Day, we're joined by none other than Christiane Noll. Now, what's one thing you're terrible at that everybody else can do perfectly well?
I am very literal.
Yep.
So if you are just trying to like mess around with something, I'm not really good with going on that kind of a conversation stream because I am so literal that it, you know, and my family makes fun of me for it. I'm like, don't do subtlety with, I don't get it.
Yep.
It's like, that's not,
That's all right.
that I would say that.
Was there a piece of advice you were given early in your career that turned out to be a load of bollocks?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Well, the one that keeps popping back to me is the theory behind it is exactly right. But the manner in which it was delivered is really wrong. So I had asked someone to do something, or there was a conflict of interest or something like that, and I was hurt and disappointed, and I said so rather than just being like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. I actually spoke up because, like I said, I'm not good at, I don't do good with that, and I probably speak when I'm not supposed to and respond to things that I'm not supposed to, and then that happened. So I let them know that what I thought they were doing was wrong, and I was told, well, you should just be grateful. Now, in theory, yes, being grateful for every opportunity, every moment, being where you are because you are where you are because of the things that have come before you, and you are going to get to go to where you get to go because of where you are now. Every moment, whether it feels like a challenge or something that's wonderful that you've been dreaming of, is a gift. We should be grateful. Yes. The older I have gotten, the more I have understood gratitude, because a lot of times it feels like a lord of horse manure where when you're just like, ah. But the way that was presented to me felt very mafiosa. You know, I'm the boss. Get in line, know your place. You should not speak up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Me Too came later.
Much later. Like, this has been decades and decades.
Yeah, where people are not valued. You know, you just have to watch what you say and go along to get along. And so, yeah, I'd say that. Because I always, and perhaps it has not served me, but I've always spoken up and spoken my mind. And sometimes I'm sure that has not served me well. But you can never accuse me of not standing up for myself and and not being treated the way with respect. A lot of people did recognize that and would not do things like when Me Too was happening. So many people were like, me too, and all of this stuff. And I'm like, I have never, no one has ever. So either I'm like a hag or I don't know nobody, or I just never noticed. Like I didn't, surely you're not suggesting, like that's not what's happening right now, is because I just wouldn't, it's like that. I would not allow myself to be treated in a certain way. So I was not ever targeted because I wouldn't acknowledge that and would actually, quite the opposite.
Scare them off.
They were not going to get away with it.
With all respect.
Yeah. But so, how's that? Was that a good answer?
So much better than, like not drinking milk before you go on stage and like everyone's drinking coffee anyway. So
phlegm is your friend.
Yeah.
Phlegm is your friend, I think. It keeps you moisturized. It's good.
Not Coca-Cola either, kids. So you go out there and the first thing you do is burp into the freaking microphone either, because I have seen someone do that.
I have a friend who always has a Dr. Pepper. It might even be a diet Dr. Pepper. Like that's his thing. He has gets a huge thing of it. And I'm like, what, to each his own. Once you figured out what works for you.
Yep, that's it.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. You were in The Sound of Music Live?
I was.
In my opinion, the live musicals, they copped it too unfairly, I thought, on social media. And they should bring them back. So if and when they do, what musicals would you like to see get tackled? And who would you like to see?
Oh, wow.
What megastars?
I remember before Hugh Jackman ended up doing The Music Man on Broadway, I was like, Hugh Jackman should do The Music Man.
Yep. I've been saying Queen Latifah for Gypsy. I've been saying it for years, right?
Oh, I love that.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
So having Audra do Gypsy, I feel completely validated. Oh my God,
Yeah.
because people would tell me no. Oh, no, she couldn't do it because Rose is a real person. God, we don't break out into song in the real world either. So why
Yeah.
does it matter?
No, it doesn't.
But
People put up, boundaries for whatever reason.
Yeah, Queen Latifah would just nail it.
The live musicals were, ours was the first one of that stretch, and it was really extraordinary because people were like, yeah, so it was live, big deal. You do live theater all the time. It's like, yeah, but you don't seem to understand that all of the diva people that you respect, many of whom were in that particular piece of theater, and it went on to be in other shows, because it was a hodgepodge. Was it theater? Was it film? Was it television? It was sort of they didn't know what it was. It was a little bit of everything. It
was charming.
But what people did cease to realize, Carrie Underwood never ran that show without stopping until the night we did it in front of millions and millions of people on television.
Oh, wow.
I challenge any leading lady in any musical. Have they ever done the show without stopping in front of an audience? No.
And a worldwide audience at that, not just an audience.
She did it once.
Yeah.
In front of it. Now, they learned from that. And so what she accomplished was extraordinary, because was not her milieu. What she did was amazing, if you understand that that's what had happened. Yeah. And as you saw the following years, when they were doing more and more and it was happening, you could tell they still were like, oh, they've had more rehearsal time. Oh, they now know what they're doing with the camera. They now know what this is turning into. Okay. They learned each year, and it improved every year. But that was very exciting to be out in an airplane hangar for a few, it was fun. I was very excited to be a part of that. I was grateful. Yeah, grateful. I was. That was a hoot.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I don't think they need studio audiences, because again, they just scream all the way through it. But yeah, so what ones do you want to see? What musicals?
Oh God. Well, live
and family friendly.
I'm like, Sweeney Todd. No, it's so hard, because so many of the old classic things are problematic now. There's a lot of, and then things that I think are not old are actually old now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things that were written, although I don't know.
If you say 40 years ago is old, I'm about to turn 40 in 2 months.
Yeah.
So thank you for making me feel old.
No, but that's the thing. That's what I mean. Things that there are people that say anything that was written before 2000 is ancient. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I know. It's retro. No, that's my jam. Right there.
Yeah, 1960s. I don't know that you could do the classic, the stuff from the 50s and 60s anymore. Maybe a Sweet Charity, maybe,
yeah.
Or
Little Shop, that'd be good.
Oh, Little Shop would be fun.
The backlot, they've got the backlot.
It's right there. Yeah, you might as well use that.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm bad. I don't know. I'm bad with that.
Anyways, what musical feeds your soul after a rough week?
I don't really listen to musicals, but what used to, I loved Once on This Island, the original Once on This Island.
Yeah.
That the minute that would start, I would just start weeping uncontrollably, just from the joy and the authenticity of what was going on there. That just, Once on an Island, my rivers run deep. I'm like, oh. We dance. I'm like, oh, yeah. And same writing team that did Ragtime. So I, have a
Aronson Flaherty.
Yeah.
Now, I'm excited about this question after what you said to me before we started recording.
Yes.
Were you a rebellious teenager? And what's the worst you got into trouble and why?
I wasn't.
Oh, bugger.
I didn't get caught.
Oh, that's okay. Yep. There's a difference. There is a difference.
Yeah. I did not give my parents reason to fret.
Yep.
I was actually pretty easy. and not so disagreeable. I let loose a lot in college and really kind of felt my own. But I did, the first time that I got trashed and my closest friends that we all got like plastered was in my basement. Oh, and I, stole alcohol from the liquor cabinet and we tried to make stuff. I didn't have a blender. I used the food processor to try to make like with ice, and which was so, it was so bad, and people got, were vomiting and they didn't even know where, like it was terrible. It was so bad. We went out pool hopping in the middle of the night in my neighbor's pool and running around the neighborhood. So I can't feel bad if my daughter does anything, because I'm like, you're going to do what you're going to do. Just, be smart about it and have your moment and recover. Because that's the only thing, with a teenager, and she's 16 now. And that's something I've always said. I'm like, I know you're going to do what you're going to do. And I can't sit here and say, don't do this, don't do that, because you're not going to listen. You're going to do what you're going to do, but just have my voice, and hopefully you will recover. Because that was the thing, you go to college and then you would see the people that didn't recover. And then I would be on the road as a young performer with people who definitely didn't recover. And now I have lots of people in my life who are in varying stages of recovery and being challenged by it continually. Once that monkey is on your back, and I say that to my daughter, I said, everybody has something. You don't know what yours is until the key happens to go into the lock. And then all of a sudden you find out what your thing is. And unfortunately, once you have opened that door, you cannot close it. The door is now open. So you just have to try to be smart about it. But it's terrifying, God, because you really have to trust it's her life. I mean, and yes, I know I'm responsible, but it's her choices. Even now, it's her choices, and there's nothing I can do about it. And you want them to have experiences, because that's how they become a fully formed human being. You want them to make choices and learn from them. But, it's terrifying. That's the hardest part.
Yes, a little bit envious of you there, because my 15-year-old nephew, who I'm raising, is a total dork. And they're the ones that usually go way down.
Sure.
Because when they do hang out with the wrong crowd, that's when they're trying to impress them, you know what I mean? So it is terrifying. So I'm a little bit envious of you.
It's terrifying.
Because this kid's a scout and he's a total nerd. I love him so much. But anyways, we'll move on. Can you do any celebrity impersonations, especially your friends on Broadway?
Oh God. Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Oh no, I don't. None that I can pop at. I wish I knew these ahead of time. Then I could like try to give it some thought. My brain tends to shut down. What's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? And I go, I don't know.
We're not so nice to send our questions in advance.
No, it's good. I toured with Julie Andrews, and she would, and so I, Jules, and she would say, well, now she has this voice that's down here, and it's all, I don't do a thing of her, but I loved listening to her speaking to, Blakey, so over here, we're going to sing, I'm doing My Funny Valentine. Oh dear, I can't do it. I can't do her, but it was wonderful to like be in her presence. And
oh wow. Goodness gracious me. Now, is there an artist you hope never ever gets a jukebox musical?
Is there an artist I hope never gets a jukebox musical?
Yeah.
Well, being that there's my dog. There they are.
Where are they? Hang on, I missed it.
Oh, you didn't hear it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, good. No, they were good. They went outside screaming. But I would say, not because the music isn't amazing, but how about Metallica? Because if Broadway singers sang Metallica, I feel like that would just ruin everything. It would not, what makes it, although that Metallica yacht rock thing is hysterical, I love it. It's so much fun. But yeah, I think it would hurt a lot of people's feelings because they would ruin it. Unless people don't mind using what make the other another part of Metallica, like the songs and the structure and the grandness of it, and that you could take it and do something different with it, that people would be like, what? Where you almost wouldn't recognize it anymore, then it's its own thing. How about that?
Yeah. There's symphony in Metallica.
Yeah. Well, they did that themselves, but that's using the best versions of it. Because what did I just see? I saw Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, or was it Queen? Somebody did a famous guitar solo on the bassoon.
Oh, wow.
And it was amazing. It was so, and he had all of but he had the style. That's the thing. Like, you can do it as long as you have the soul behind it of what it's supposed to be. Then by all means do it. But don't be an opera singer, doing a heavy metal record. That's not a good idea.
I can prove you wrong. We're going to have you back on the show one day in the future, and we're going to do operatic metal, because that is a thing.
Okay.
It is a thing.
Okay.
So we're going to prove you wrong on that one. But which scene partner has brought out the best in your work?
My husband.
Yeah.
And I've always loved doing things, but now she's going to town. I will say, can you hear her now? Sorry, that's in the
No,
I'm out.
I
I'm
can't.
good. Well, then it's doing its job. You interviewed him, Mono Felciano.
Yeah.
Was my first Tata in
Ragtime? Yeah.
Ragtime down at the Kennedy Center. And we just had a really fun chemistry from the get-go, where we understood what wasn't being said in those scenes and didn't have to play what wasn't being said. Like, it just happened.
Yeah.
And that ended up being really wonderful.
Yeah,
So
Mono's cool.
I was he's awesome. And we got to do Dear Evan Hansen together as well, which was a hoot to be reunited with him.
God, and now I'm like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon away from all of you. It's so weird.
Pretty much.
1 degree, technically. But Mano, I also interviewed solo, so I have to have him back on the future as well to interview people properly with a co-host and give people the proper experience.
Yeah.
The opposite now. Are you much of a corpser? And which scene partners have made you crack up on stage?
A corpser, you mean do I break up?
Yep. Do you start laughing?
No, remember, I'm literal. I don't I'm stay in it. I'm terrible with that. Or not, sometimes I wish I did, but I still do my thing, Because I feel like it's a challenge, especially if people are like goofing around. It's not like, I think I'm stubborn.
Yep.
It's like, I'm gonna stay in this because I know you're trying to break me, so I'm gonna stay in this. Yeah.
Yep. Well, it's a challenge to all your future scene partners out there that are listening to this right now. So, anyways, last question: when was the last time you had your face painted for fun, and what did you have done?
When is the last? Gosh, my daughter, we used to get face paint all the time on her. I don't know that I have ever had my face painted, like in terms of its whole, like a whole thing, or have I? No, I don't think I.
Oh no!
I mean, like other than normal,
yeah, makeup.
regular stuff. Yeah, that would be.
This needs to change. We need to rectify this.
I know. I need to do it.
Yes, like I don't know, the popular things are always like a pirate or a tiger or.
Well, I would love to say when I was Elphaba or when I was Grisabella, but I have never played either one of those parts. So
No, you've managed to avoid the tourist traps. How have you done it? What's your secret?
I don't know. The timing for so many of these things, people are like, "Oh, you haven't been in Les Mis. Oh, you haven't done this. Oh, you haven't done that." I'm like, yeah, it never came around really. It just, I've had such a strange and varied series of experiences.
But no jukebox musical either.
Yeah, no, I
What?
remind.
How? I'm blown away. It's like a Broadway actor not doing Law and Order.
Well, that I finally got to do.
Yes. So you're not a Broadway unicorn.
No, I did do that,
Yeah.
but it took a while. That finally happened, and that was a lot of fun. I had gone in for so many of those auditions and just never got it. And finally, they just called my agent up and said, "We want to offer her this," because he'd seen me so often. It's like, just here, let her do it. I'm like, really? Oh, fantastic. I'm like, great. Because that's something I feel like if I have to audition, and that sounds so tacky, but honestly, if I have to audition other than going in and having them, oh, they want, to meet you, and I'm not going to get it.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I don't know why it has worked out that way, but it's like either you understand what this is or you don't.
Yeah.
And if I have to go and improve myself to you, then you don't get it. And that's okay. There's nothing I can do about that. I offer what I offer.
Yeah. Hey, look, we offer people to come on our show and listen to metal, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
If they're not going to get the idea, then that's fine. So, but you did, and we made it through. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. That was really fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, good. Thank God, because if I didn't live up to it, then they would tell me off.
No, it's wonderful.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm sorry that your countrymen are such poopies heads, as it were.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Because this is delightful, and you do a good thing.
Thank you so much.
So thank you.
No,
absolutely.
It's not going to stop me. It's not going to stop because
no, it shouldn't.
People are clearly interested in coming on this show, but no, truly, I've had so much fun sitting here, and it's not Valentine's Day, but I'm going to pretend it's my Valentine's Day today. So it's
fun, and every podcast has to have sort of like a hook, and this is something it's different, and you expose people to different things. I think it's awesome. No, I love it.
Hey, classy Broadway legend, here's some death metal to listen to. And we get away with it.
Of course.
We get away with it.
Why not? Well, even just the fact that you're like, yeah, I don't like metal.
Yeah, no, I don't like it either, but I have to do it too.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Yeah.
And when people like, what musicals do you listen to? I'm like, I don't really listen. That's not my thing either, but it's okay.
I hear that a lot.
It is somebody's thing, and that's great. It should be somebody's thing. There's room for all of it.
Yep, I've got to hope so. Otherwise, why are we here?
Exactly.
That's it. But anyways, before I let you go, where can people find you on the social medias?
I am on Instagram.
Yep.
Christiane Noll. And that, I believe, is the only social medias that I happen to be on. I'm not prolific on it.
Yep.
Especially these days, I've kind of I just need to just chill out, but that is where I will repost an occasional funny dog video, something that makes me laugh, because I want to bring joy and light into the world as opposed to what is happening these days. So, yeah.
Instead of Mr. Hiding it.
Yeah, I want light in life.
That's it. So, anyways, thank you so much. I've kept you way over time. We've almost gone for 2 hours.
Absolutely.
So you can follow Christiane on the socials. You can follow us at Thrash and Treasure or at Thrash and Treasure Podcast. Buy the Toniston Tales and read the Toniston Tales. Listen to all our shows on the Bloop Network, including Get Popped on Culture, Thrash and Treasure, Around the World in 80 Plays, and The EGOT Goes To. And we have another show coming up very, very soon. So that's it from us. You take care, look after yourselves and each other, and we shall see you next time. Uru!
Have fun.
Yeah, anyways, catch you later. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Like Quicksand!
What is it? Muriel. No, what is it?
You're terrible, Muriel.
You're terrible, Muriel.